Welcome to the DIY3DTech.com channel.
Welcome to this episode of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the new designed SainSmart 2 relay board holder that we printed out on the TwoUp printer in PLA. Basically, what we're going to be doing is adding this module or mounting bracket for this 2 relay SainSmart module. There'll be a link in the description for it, how to get it if you're interested. And again, basic mounting bracket. The idea, the logic behind this is basically what we can do is take a Arduino microcontroller. Here we have one with a board on it, or header board on it, and connect it to this, because basically what this board allows us to do is it takes two inputs, in 1 and in 2, and basically triggers these two relays, these two little chips. My fat finger's out of the way. These are basically opto-isolators that allow separation between this device and the higher voltage in here, because one of the things I'm going to be doing a video on, and the reason for coming up with this, is I'm going to be doing a spindle control for my CNC router, as well as a cheap laser controls in similar fashion for my robotic CNC router. So I'm going to use this device to do this and use this as a mounting mechanism. So again, this will work with like the Raspberry Pi, it'll work with the Arduino and several other different pieces. But a couple different aspects of this that I did want to share. Now, since I'm going to be using this to control the line voltage, so both the power supply for going to the router, which is a Porter cable router in my case that I'm using as a spindle for the CNC, as well as 110 volt driven power supply, there will be line voltages on both of these relays, and coming into this header block there will be 110 volts coming in. So basically lethal voltage. So we need to be careful with this. So one of the pieces in designing this that I did is I wanted to be careful, because on the bottom you can see the header pins up here where the voltage is coming in, so they'll connect into these pins. So we'll have one coming in, one going out for voltage. When the relay is tripped, again, the spindle will come on, or the laser will come on, goes off, vice versa. But on the bottom here, you can see where this header is soldered in. Again, there will be 110 volts on here into the back side of the board. Now, it is a coated board, but these are exposed. So one of the things I did do when I designed this bumper, and again, this is at your own risk, is I did leave a bottom in it. Some of the bumpers, to save plastic, don't have bottoms. But I wanted to make sure, especially since I'm going to be, in my case, running 110 volts, that this bottom is insulated and protected. And it goes without saying, do not use a conductive PLA, a conductive filament, sorry, to make this. So it should be a non-conductive filament. And so one of the pieces I did is it is recessed, so the board sits down in here. I've got a number of these that I use for different applications. They make great uses for like outdoor lighting, sprinkler systems, etc., for different zones. So I've used these for different things, but the boards come in a little bit different sizes, so I made it a little bit large. So the board sits in here. It's not a real snug fit, so you can fit different ones in depending upon their structure. Also, I put little tabs in here, so we can use a number 4 screw to basically hold the boards down. So in short, the board sits here, and then basically what we'll do is put this in, and then again just kind of screw these number 4s. I think they're about a 1/4 inch long. They're not very long, but you can kind of see that again we put this in and screw these down. And again, this particular print is a PLA print, so you don't want to get too tighten them too tight. And if you're going to use it on, say, a vertical application, because the other piece, again, for like garden lights or something, you might want to mount this vertically. In my case, for the CNC router, I'm going to use this particular one. Will be mounted horizontally as you see it here. But I've also set it up so it can be mounted. Use them so it can be. Whoops! I get back in the camera here. It can be mounted vertically like this. What you might want to do, because again, there's pretty good force holding it. Maybe put a little dab of glue here, airplane glue, etc., to hold it into place. Is good. But again, you can mount it vertically like this. You can mount it on a flat surface. You can mount it wherever. You can use a 4-pin header to jumper here. Because the great thing is so again, there's a lot of good videos on this out there, but again, let me see if I can get a little bit closer. I don't know if it'll focus. However, basically the first pin we have is ground, and then we have basically in for relay 1, in for relay 2, and also VC or 5 volts to drive this whole scenario. And so you can bring it all across from, say the Arduino with a 4-pin header, which is really great. So you can even separate it at a bit of a distance if you want to do this. So you can set this in your control area. So for example, another one of the projects I'm doing is going to have to control my garden lights. And so, right now it's just basically on a mechanical timer, clicks on, clicks switch off. I'm going to convert it over to this, and I'm going to actually have an Arduino run several different functions. And one of the functions is I'm going to take in a light function. So one of the things, when it gets to a certain level of darkness, I want it to do a certain set of actions. Like, for example, like turn on the garden lights. I don't want to do it time-based, and I know I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic here. I want to do it based upon, so if a thunderstorm rolls in, it gets dark, the lights come on, just kind of like for safety reasons. So, but I also want it to do, possibly monitor a rain gauge to say if it's raining, don't activate the sprinkler system. So one of these can be to turn on the lights. One of these could be to as a master override for the sprinkler system. So huge number of opportunities you can do with these. These boards are super cheap, super flexible. But also again, keep in mind that again, if you apply line voltages here, this is exposed. So be very careful. In the future, I may design a cover or something to go on top of here, and I may actually do that. For me and for my CNC application, I'm not going to worry too much because I've got other kind of exposed leads, and it's just me using it, and it's somewhat remote to the whole usage. But anyways, wanted to do a video on this. I thought this was a kind of a great little add-on piece. Again, great piece of technology that's cheap. Just wanted to show how it all comes together. So hopefully this helped you out. If it did, please hit like below and subscribe to the channel, as there'll be a lot more stuff coming out. Cheers.